One day he put a hidden recorder in my purse while I was doing model work and caught me my boss. I really deserve every punishment that my husband is giving, but why was I the only one who gets punished while I actually had an affair with the person who is supposed to be my boss? Yes, I was his wife, or maybe I still am his wife because he refused to divorce me but decided to make my life a living hell. The funny thing is that he actually told me that he was not going to divorce me, but he will make sure that I suffer for all the heartache that I had caused. He actually made a promise that he will make me regret the day that we first met and the day I was brought to this earth. I don't really know what came over me. Lust and craving for something outside your relationship can cause a huge disaster and drift between couples. I craved for something that I was not getting in my relationship. I went outside my imperfect relationship and ruined the only good thing that I had. I regret it and I don't know what to do to fix it. I cheated with my boss, the person who I should be showing respect to and being professional around him. Now that I got caught, I don't really know how to recover from this. Where will I go and what would I do without my husband in my life? I know I messed up, but can't he at least give me one last chance? I won't deny that I did him wrong and what I did is unforgivable. I acted like a loose witch who doesn't think before taking action. Please tell me what I should do or say to make my husband rethink his decision. I miss him so much. My name is Mia Hendricks, female 31, and I first met my husband Alex Franklin, male 39. I won't say on the road, but the day I met him I had a flat tire and ran out of gas, plus it was getting late. I had been stuck on the side of the road for like 2 or 3 hours. Mind you, that time I was very far from the gas station. Alex was a cop at that time, so when he and his partner showed up, they asked me what was wrong and why I was parking at a hijacking spot. At that time, I didn't know that my car got stuck on a hijacking spot since I was not from Brooklyn. Time passed, we had made our relationship official. Everything was just perfect. We were one of those perfect couples that didn't fight a lot. Yes, we would squabble over some silly things, but it was never a big argument. Alex is bubbly and full of fun, but he has his quiet and reserved side. I like the fact that he knew how to take responsibility for his own actions instead of running away from it or finding someone to blame for his behavior. Alex is that kind of person that would just bluntly say or speak his mind without caring how you will receive it. After we had officialized our relationship, we enjoyed each other's company. We were inseparable friends or twins. Yes, we had our fair share of struggles and challenges, but we would always conquer it all by sticking together no matter what. But I didn't like the fact that Alex was actually a person that doesn't open up a lot about his life, and I would say that he had some sort of anger issues. It's like he had experienced some childhood trauma that made him have anger issues, but he knew how to hide it with his smile and kindness. I think that's why he became a cop, to fight off his anger issues. 9 months passed, Alex proposed, and I officially became his fiancé. I was just so happy, and everything was still smooth at that time. That was the best thing I had ever got. Even my Nana was happy, and that was enough for my heart. It took us the whole year to think and plan what we wanted for the wedding, and when that day came, I messed it all up. All because of lust and craving for something different. He really made me the happiest woman alive, and I was just glad and felt blessed to have someone like Alex. I really and truly loved him. I just don't know what pushed me to commit adultery, especially with someone close to him. That's being evil and inconsiderate. We got married on the 12th month of our relationship. I knew where and what I was getting myself into when I said I do. But I just couldn't be satisfied with what I had and went outside my marriage, and not only to jeopardize it, but destroy it in the process without even thinking that I was breaking my vows. We were married for 3 years and things started changing. When I say changing, I don't mean in a good way, but in the worst way possible. I started realizing that Alex and I were way too different than I had thought. He was what I loved, but not what made me happy. I started realizing that I had contributed so much in our relationship and forgot about my own happiness and self-worth. Jordan is a workaholic. He is always serious, working, going out to eat, romantic dinners, and spending a lot of money on me like I was selling. I didn't like all of that. I loved him, yes, but I was not happy. No matter how much he had tried to make me happy, but he was failing dismally. I had once tried to introduce him to clubs and exploration, but he just got bored, and it was like I was alone in the whole thing. He was insecure about my career choice, which is modeling. He would get paranoid for nothing and end up making hasty assumptions. We had tried a few therapists regarding his condition, but we found out that it wasn't really curable. You can only get a diagnosis or medication for it only. The only way to control it was to talk to a psychotherapist or find something that you would take out all your frustrations and anger on, like hitting the wall or going to the gym or buying a punching bag. I didn't think Alex needed all that. We didn't need all that. The only thing we needed was for him to be healed and stop this condition forever. In this marriage, I felt like I was trapped in a relationship or marriage that was full of love but unfulfilling. I mean, I love being intimate, exploring new styles and positions, but Alex was always all about the simple and straightforward intimate moments. He would sometimes give up while I would still be enjoying the moment and begging for more. He would just tell me that he was tired, which came to me as a huge bummer. So I would end up satisfying myself with some toys which I didn't want. Our marriage became so dull, like we were old people who have joint and muscle problems. Over time, I started seeking excitement and validation. I wanted to feel happy for once since my husband was not doing the job. I tried going out a few times, even tried taking Alex to explore a few countries, but it was like I was the only one on the trip because he was stuck on his work trying to track down criminals. The only time he would actually give me his attention was during dinner or we were not indoors. Both of us are always busy and our jobs are somehow demanding, but I always make means to at least try and make time for us, even if it's a small one. But he wasn't giving the same effort and it was really tiring. So at work, there is this coworker, or let me say he is the boss of mine, who always tried luck on me. But since I was married, I couldn't give him a chance. My boss and I were like a combo that communicated so well. We had the same personalities, interests, and desires. Sometimes I would even forget that he was my boss because he was just a free-spirited person. Some of my colleagues or other models would think that we were seeing each other behind closed doors. One day there was a year-end party for all the employees at work. The boss was there and it was quite a shocker because in most annual parties at work he doesn't show up. So that day he invited me to go with him to an annual music festival that was taking place in New Orleans. I wanted to decline his offer, but I thought about my boring marriage life and that Alex would be working a night shift that day. So I went with him. We had so much fun, we danced and drank, I felt like I was where I was made to be. The conversation between me and the guy was flowing, no one was forcing anything. The connection and the spark was there. As the night proceeded, I found myself entangled in a passionate affair with my boss named Jacques Morris, male 28. Though he was a bit older than me, he made me feel alive. He didn't have to try hard to know what I needed in order to be happy. I felt like he just knew what I needed without me even saying a single word. Well, our affair started that night when we went to the festival. On that night, a lot had happened. All I can remember is that one minute we were drinking and dancing. Well, more like jamming to the soulful music that was playing. The next minute, we felt each other's heartbeats. I felt like I had finally found what I had been looking and longing for. I loved Alex a lot, and I knew that he also loved me too much, but love alone is never enough when there's no happiness in it. I respected my marriage and loved the way Jacques was loving me and holding me in high regards, but that was not enough. I felt like there was something amiss, and I had found it through Jacques. He, Jacques, was what I had always been praying for, what my soul had yearned for, and finally the universe had answered my heart and soul desires. I knew that if Alex was to find out about the affair, he would be broken and maybe worse than that. That man really loved me, that's all I can say. In my marriage, I felt alone and neglected. My needs were not met. So the affair that I had with Jacques provided me with a temporary reprieve from my marital dissatisfaction. I believe that by indulging in this forbidden passion, I could or would awaken something in my husband Alex and break through his nonchalant demeanor. Jacques was explosive, like I was both in traveling and intimately. We were intimately connected, and I loved and enjoyed every moment that we had shared. He knew how to explore my body and make me find myself speaking a foreign language. My affair with Jacques went on for some months, I think 8 to 9 months if I'm not mistaken. We almost dated for the whole year, but the universe and God had other thoughts about the affair. Alex found out about the affair, and it didn't go well to a point that even today I'm still feeling the wrath of my own medicine. When Alex found out about the affair, I didn't think twice. I ended the affair with Jacques, even though it was too late and the damage had already been done. Alex didn't do something the same time he found out. He acted like everything was okay. If there was someone to blame in all of this drama, that person would be me. I failed to stay loyal and faithful to my husband like I had said on my wedding vows. I wanted more than what God and the universe had blessed me with and went against my oath to love, cherish, be faithful and loyal to my husband through sickness and in health. I craved what my husband didn't give me, and I failed to hold and ignore the temptations. Instead, I fell for it. One day, Jacques was hosting a fashion show. Well, more like his models were asked by one of the successful fashion designers to model with his collection at a fashion show. So Alex and his crew, police officers, were asked to be at the venue just to make sure that everything was running smoothly and everyone was protected. Jacques introduced us to the officers, including Alex. I couldn't tell him that I already knew Alex and he was my husband, so I pretended like it was my first time seeing him. I was acting professional. During the fashion show, everyone had already worn the collection, so it was time for a small celebratory party for the successful show. I was not really comfortable because I didn't know what he would say to Jacques since Alex was the captain of the police officers, and he was speaking a lot with Jacques. My heart was not really at ease. No. So the party went on and everyone was enjoying themselves, but I wasn't, unfortunately. I had been stealing glances with Jacques and I really missed his action. It was really hard being in the same room as Jacques and Alex, knowing that Jacques and I were actually in an affair, some sort of relationship. Jacques and I had agreed to act civil around each other because we didn't want people to start speculating things. Even though I was not comfortable with that decision, it had to be made, so we agreed on being civil towards each other. So when he saw me sitting alone, he came over and we started talking. It was surprising how he could pretend like everything was okay while I was shaking in my boots. I didn't want Alex to see us together. I think it was guilt eating me up, but the guy was relaxed, so I had to also pretend and relax. As the night went on, Jacques and I continued to chat and our affection grew stronger. I knew there and then that I must have fallen hard for Jacques because I had missed his touch, the way he would appreciate my body and make me feel young and carefree. I know I shouldn't have done that, but I couldn't resist. He had that soft touch that would make me want to ask him not to stop what he was doing. It was like his touch and kisses were a drug. Not to mention our intimate moments were what I had been longing for in my marriage. Jacques made me feel alive and appreciated, you know. What I did was wrong on so many levels. I should have ended the abomination whilst I had time, but guess what I did? I continued seeing him on the side. Well, I couldn't let go of him, I don't know why, but whenever I would think of cutting off our cheating, because he also had a fiancée, I would feel like I would be letting go of my happiness. We decided to move to the nearest hotel, so as Jacques and I were spending the night together, I was just happy, you know. Well, more like my heart desire was fulfilled. So after having a lot of we decided to take a break and chill a bit. So we watched a TV that was in the room that we were in. Then all of a sudden we heard a knock. My mind quickly registered that we had ordered something to eat and we had forgotten about food because we were so cooped up in our moment of intimacy. So I decided to go and open so I could take our order. Mind you, that time Jacques was butt naked and I was wearing lingerie only. So I opened the door and got the worst shock of my life. I just couldn't believe it, you know, like I was asking myself, how did he find me and who told him that I would be here? I knew there and then that I was screwed and there's no denying it. Alex was standing right in front of me looking at me, wearing lingerie only. Surely he told himself that I was going to accept the food while wearing something floozy. I knew there and then that my marriage was hanging on a very high and dangerous cliff. As hard as it was, I decided to be brave and end things with Jacques on the spot even though my heart didn't want me to. But because I loved Alex and I believed that he was the one for me and no one else. Seeing Alex at the fashion show made me think that I would get caught any time and it was not going to be nice, not knowing that it would actually be soon enough. You know, I had always imagined myself spending my whole life and growing old with my first love. I couldn't risk Alex finding out about my abomination, as I thought that would destroy and jeopardize our relationship and destroy our marriage. Alex was the missing piece in my heart and soul, while Jacques was the happiness that I had been longing for too long. I knew I was loved and secured by Alex. He loved me for me, you know. He made me show the other side of me that I had never known existed. He knew how to treat me right and make me his first. Well, when he felt like it or was not busy with work. I don't know what really came over me to mess such a good thing that was going on between Alex and I. But I guess my heart loved Alex so much, but it also desired Jacques' energy and the action because the guy really knew how to make a woman squirt without trying so hard. So days turned to weeks and weeks to a month. I had been trying by all means to ignore the feeling of needing Jacques, but I was really failing. I missed him. I missed the way he made me feel. I really tried to be the perfect wife for Alex, you know. I tried to be committed to my marriage, but it was just so hard. It was like I was forcing things with Alex. Yes, I loved him, and I actually still love him, but my body desired Jacques' affection and the way he was exploring my body. Sometimes I would even hand service myself while calling Jacques' name. That's how much affection he had on me. I then decided to just give Jacques a call, hoping that I wouldn't find him with his fiancée. Luckily, he answered the call and agreed to meet up with me at our usual spot, not knowing that Alex had put a hidden recorder in my purse. As I would go out more often, Alex eventually saw my sudden changed behavior and the way I would dress when going out. So one day he came home and asked to speak with me. Mind you, that time I had plans with Jacques, but I obeyed Alex's request. So during our conversation, Alex literally asked me who I was seeing behind his back. Of course I lied and said no one, but he demanded me to tell him the truth because if he finds out by himself, there would be a problem and I would regret ever lying to him. When Alex discovered the truth about my infidelity, he was devastated. His trust in me shattered, and I know he felt betrayed and humiliated. By the way, Alex found out about the affair when one sunny weekend afternoon we were spending time together after a very long time. I was happy to see that he was changing and becoming the man that I had fallen in love with, but intimately I still needed Jacques for my satisfactions. You know, as a successful model, I was used to being in the spotlight, but little did I know my seemingly perfect life was about to take a drastic turn. My husband Alex and I had been together and married for 3 years, and everything seemed great. Or so I thought. One day I was preparing for a big photo shoot that would happen later on, and Alex offered to help me get ready. He was being extra sweet, and I didn't think much of it when he handed me my purse. Unbeknownst to me, he had secretly placed a hidden recorder inside. At the photo shoot, my boss, Jacques, was being his usual charming self. We were working on a tight deadline, and tensions were running high. In a moment of frustration, Jacques and I got into a heated argument. But as the day went on, our disagreement turned into a flirtatious banter. I didn't think much of it, assuming it was just harmless teasing. But what I didn't know was that the recorder in my purse was capturing every conversation, every laugh, and every whispered word between Jacques and me. And when Alex listened to the recording, his world came crashing down. A lot of things happened in one day, you know. Earlier that day, when Alex and I were chilling in, watching Netflix while reminiscing about our first date and looking at our pictures and videos of our wedding day, I say accidentally because I have been keeping my phone to myself, making sure that Alex doesn't get to it. Left my phone on top of the coffee table and went to take a bath since Alex and I had planned to have our dinner out. Well, it was his treat and he had already made reservations. So Jacques called while I was still bathing and preparing for the dinner date with my husband, and Alex answered my phone. So when I went back to the lounge to get my phone, I found Alex looking at it. Well, more like going through it. When I got closer, I discovered that he was reading my text messages with Jacques. I asked him what he was looking at, and I needed my phone. The only thing he said to me was, "Is this what you always do when you go to work? You sleep with your boss?" He asked if Jacques wasn't my boss since he and I were talking about nasty things on our chats and sending each other intimate pictures. His question caught me off guard, and when I looked at him, I saw that he was trying by all means to control his rage, but he was highly enraged because there were veins coming out of his forehead. I tried explaining to him, well, more like trying to lie about my affair, but he couldn't hear any of it. Instead, his anger kept escalating up until he couldn't keep it in anymore. He couldn't control it, so he just took my phone with him and stormed out of the house. I was super scared. I didn't know what to expect with Alex because of his intermittent explosive disorder, IED condition. You can't guarantee what you can expect from him. We had tried for so long to make him be able to control it, and he had been doing a very great job at it. But within a blink of an eye, I am the one who brought it back in full force. As much as Alex's disorder was worrying me, especially since he had stormed out of the house, but what terrified me the most were the pictures that I had been sending to Jason. Jacques and I were exchanging sexy pictures of ourselves, including the intimate pictures that we had taken when we were in our moments. I didn't know if Alex had seen the pictures, but obviously he had, and I didn't want to see his reaction to them. I mean, I had never sent my own husband those kinds of pictures, but I was able to send them to my coworker. So I remained in the house until he came back, of which he came right after midnight. Mind you, he had started being worried about him, thinking that maybe he had done something to himself or something had happened to him, only to find out that he was okay and not even drunk or anything. The next day, Alex confronted me with the concrete evidence. I was devastated, realizing what had happened. He had heard everything. The flirtatious comments, the giggles, and even a whispered invitation from Jacques to meet up after work. I tried to explain, to tell him that it was harmless, that I was just trying to diffuse the tension. But Alex was beyond reason. He felt betrayed, and I couldn't blame him. The days that followed were a blur of tears, arguments, and desperation. I tried to make it right, to prove my love and loyalty, but the damage was done. Alex had lost trust in me, and I couldn't bear the thought of losing him. In the end, it was my own carelessness that destroyed our relationship. I learned a hard lesson about the importance of honesty and transparency, and as I look back on that fateful day, I realized that even the smallest actions can have the most devastating consequences. In the weeks that followed, Alex and I went through a painful breakup. I was heartbroken, but I knew I had to move on. I threw myself into my work, taking on more modeling jobs and focusing on my career. But the memory of Alex and the pain he had caused me lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been betrayed, not just by Alex, but by my own naivety. One day I received a call from an unknown number. It was a woman, and she introduced herself as Alex's new girlfriend. She told me that she had heard about our separation and wanted to know more about the real me. I was taken aback, but I decided to meet with her. Over coffee, she revealed that Alex had been manipulating her too, using jealousy and control to keep her in line. She had discovered the hidden recorder he had used on me and was horrified. Together, we pieced together the truth. Alex had a pattern of behavior, using his charm and good looks to manipulate women. He had done it to me, and now he was doing it to her. I felt a sense of vindication, knowing that I wasn't the only one who had been hurt by Alex's actions. But I also felt a sense of responsibility, realizing that I had enabled his behavior by staying in the relationship for so long. The woman and I parted ways, but I knew that I had to take action. I started a support group for women who had been in similar situations, and soon we had a community of survivors who were determined to heal and move forward. The following couple of days were really tough on me because Alex hadn't given my phone back. He was back to his normal self like nothing had happened, though I tried to be normal and move on like he was, but I was unsettled. That time I couldn't even ask him about my phone because I didn't know what or how his reaction would be, so I just let him be. It was very unusual for Alex to just be quiet and not do anything. I smelled something fishy with him. I told myself to wait for the worst and not relax until I got my phone back. 1 week later, I managed to get myself a banner phone to call Jacques to check if he was okay. I was worried that maybe Alex would have done something to him, and I found out that he was fine, which came as a huge relief to me. Little did I know that the worst was yet to come. So when I got to work, I was called by the company's superiors along with Jacques, and I got fired on the spot, along with Jason, because we had gone against the company's code of conduct and policy. As I was still shuttered like that, one of my colleagues, Models, who was also my friend, came to me and showed me the worst thing that would ruin someone's life. My pictures alone with Jacques were all over the internet. I couldn't believe it, and I knew that only one person couldn't actually do that because he was the one who had seen the pictures and he had been acting weird and strange. As I went about my day, trying to forget about what my colleague had told me and completely unaware of the lens capturing my every interaction, the truth slowly unraveled. What started as a normal day turned into a nightmare as the footage revealed the heartbreaking betrayal. Trust shattered, relationships destroyed, and lives forever changed by a simple piece of technology. I just couldn't believe that Alex would actually do this to me. My mind was playing a lot of clips. Somehow I thought that maybe they were working together with Jacques. Maybe I was a bait to check if I was loyal and weak or not, and I fell for that trap. Weeks later, I'd gone back to my Nana's house since Nick kicked me out and I didn't win for obvious reasons. 2 police officers came to my Nana's house and asked to speak to me. They told me that I was involved in some fraud, whatever thing that they had said, and just like that, I was arrested. As if that was big enough, but when I got out of prison after a month, I discovered that all my banking accounts were frozen. To think that was the least he had done. He continued by closing all my bank accounts, well, not closing, but more like took all my savings and every cent that was in my accounts. I was so depressed, my life had taken a very huge and worst turn ever. I tried calling Alex using my banner phone, but he didn't answer my call. I found myself calling Jacques, and he bluntly told me to never contact him again, and he wanted nothing to do with me. As if that wasn't enough, days later I received divorce papers stating that Alex was filing for a divorce and I will be leaving my marriage with nothing but my clothes. I had no money, no job. I had nothing. I tried reporting the picture case to the police department, but I didn't get any help. Instead, I got, "That's what you get for going against your wedding vows and acting like a hook," as if that was not shattering enough. It was heartbreaking. I literally and officially had nothing under my name. The house that we had both contributed to, Alex took it. It wasn't easy, but I finally found closure. I realized that I was worthy of love and respect, and that I didn't have to settle for anything less. And as for Alex, he eventually got what was coming to him. His new girlfriend left him, and his reputation was tarnished. He was left alone, a shell of the man he once was. I often think about that day, the day he put a hidden recorder in my purse. It was a turning point in my life, a wake-up call that forced me to confront the truth. And while it was painful, I am grateful for the lesson I learned, that I am strong, capable, and deserving of love and respect. Years went by and I continued to thrive in my career and personal life. I had started another job in another modeling company, of which I didn't stay for too long in that company because I became a successful businesswoman, starting my own modeling agency and empowering other women to take control of their lives. One day I received an unexpected visit from Alex. He looked worn out and his charm had faded. He apologized for his past actions, telling me that he had hit rock bottom and was seeking redemption. At first I was skeptical, but as he spoke, I saw a glimmer of sincerity in his eyes. He explained that he had been seeking help, attending therapy sessions and working on himself. I listened, and for the first time I saw Alex in a different light. He was no longer the manipulative, controlling person I had known. He was broken and he was trying to heal. I forgave him not for his sake, but for mine. I realized that holding on to anger and resentment was only hurting me. By forgiving him, I was freeing myself from the past. Alex and I didn't become friends, but we did become cordial. He would occasionally reach out, updating me on his progress and thanking me for my forgiveness. And then one day he called me with unexpected news. He had met someone, a wonderful woman who loved him for who he was. He was getting married and he wanted me to be there. I attended the wedding and it was a beautiful celebration of love and redemption. As I watched Alex exchange vows with his new wife, I felt a sense of closure and happiness. He had finally found his way and I had finally found mine. We had both been through hell, but we had emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. As I looked around at the joyful faces, I realized that forgiveness is not just about others. It's about ourselves. It's about releasing the burden of resentment and embracing the freedom of forgiveness. There was or is no one to blame. Everything that is happening to me is the result of selfishness and greed. I wanted more than what I already had, and desired for an outside experience and left my husband in the house to get out to another man's house to satisfy my dark desires. I should have stayed and held on to my husband. Guys, I really don't know what to do. I know that I had been in my Nana's house for too long. Yes, I had gone back home. Chickens were back home to roost. Please tell me how to deal with this. How do I recover from everything? Because I have opened new bank accounts and that is the only thing that I have managed to do. I tried applying for jobs, but the pictures that were on the internet made me lose all the opportunities that I was getting. I just can't take it anymore. It's hard and I need a break from everything. Please advise me. How do I clean my image and reputation? Yes, I can't take back what has happened, but I want some change. I'm tired of living like this. I'm slowly sinking into depression. Please, any advice is acceptable. What do I do with my modeling agency company? I need help.